Back at the workshop doing more MR2 stuff because, well, it's rapidly getting closer and I just want this thing done ASAP so I can crack on with all the other stuff. I mean, literally, it might have been running by the end of this week if the bloody loom I'd bought wasn't completely the wrong one, as in listed wrong. But it wouldn't have been finished, but we'd have got it running. But last night I went and bought a load more looms, ECUs and pedals, but the correct ones. There's some more of it on there. Basically, the loom that I bought before, even though it was meant to be, wasn't one for wideband lambda. It was a narrowband lambda one, and obviously I want wideband. And you can convert the looms from narrow to wideband, but when you can buy the correct fucking loom, so you don't have to modify one, what's the point? Throttle pedal assembly, all that, plus the loom, plus the ECUs. They're straight out of Skoda Octavia VRSs, which is also what my AUM engine comes in. And that also explains, well, it doesn't really explain, but that's my excuse for this Skoda badge too. So yeah, other things I've been doing is, look at that, that is fucking cool. That goes all the way around the manifold and the turbo. It's not made for this car, it's not made for this engine. Looking to buy a turbo blanket, because I always run one on turbos, and I generally like to wrap a manifold as well, but you can only really do that with tubular ones. When they're super tight ones or cast ones, there's no way of really wrapping it. But when I was looking at turbo blankets, because I knew Forge Motorsport do them, and obviously they're only down the road, I was looking on their website and I noticed they did for the later 2-litre TFSI engines, the EA888 ones, Golf GTIs and Golf Rs, Mark 5s, Mark 6s, I can't remember. They did a blanket that went over the manifold and the turbo in one. And I was looking at the shape and was like, you know what, that don't look far off what my setup is. And then I looked at some pictures, you know, I just went on Google and Googled what the Golf turbo manifold setup looks like. And it looked remarkably like what I've done, but OEM stuff. So I was like, you know what, I reckon that might fit. And it was like 160 quid. So I thought, well, when a bloody decent non-Chinese turbine blanket costs usually over, you know, 120, 130 quid, 160 for one it includes a manifold, it was worth a punt. So yeah, I got it, and it's actually fucking bang on. Like, obviously it's not completely held together yet, I've just loosely put it on there to make sure it fit. But yeah, although it's made for later TFSI engine, it covers my manifold and turbo really fucking nicely. So very happy with that. I've got a shitload of wrap to do the full exhaust with. For the first time ever, I've bought proper DEI stuff. Reason being, DEI stuff is really good quality, and although I'm not a fan of nearly all of the makes of, you know, these wraps, they just seem to be rebadged, overpriced Chinese ones. The DEI stuff genuinely is good, as in I've got proof of that, I've seen it, I know it lasts better. So I was like, fuck it, I don't need that much anyway, so I'm gonna use some DEI stuff. And it's gonna be a test really, because I know from all the Chinese stuff how long that stuff lasts and how well it works. So if this fares any better, happy days. But for the price and considering what I was doing with the car, I thought this time got to do it properly. One issue was, this is a big flexi pipe, and I didn't want to wrap a flexi because, well, heat wrap, once it gets, you know, it's been through a heat cycle or two, it's pretty rigid and brittle. But heat, you know, turbine blankets are not, basically. They stay, I mean, you know, they get a bit harder, but they stay flexible enough. So I thought, you know what, seeing as a couple of companies do these things which are like turbo blankets but are meant for pipe, I'm going to put that around the flexi and that should work fine. DEI do them and a couple other companies do them. DEI didn't have any in stock, so I went to the other company that had them. Listed, and they listed them for 3-inch pipe and 4-inch pipe and various lengths. I knew that pipe was 5-inch because it's bigger than it's normally a 4, so I knew it wouldn't quite go round, so I ordered 2. It go around a 4-inch and it's gonna almost go around a 5-inch. Does it fuck? On their adverts it makes it sound like a 4-inch one will go round. It's called 4-inch diameter. It makes it sound like it'd go round a 4-inch diameter exhaust. Will it? Bollocks. Don't ask me about DI ones, never got them. But this company, do they fuck? They go only around 2/3 of the way around. Because we tried it on some 4-inch pipe. It actually only fully, goes round it without a gap if you put it on a 3-inch pipe, even though it's the 4-inch version. Otherwise it goes around about 2/3. So be aware, if you're buying these, it's not going to go all the way around unless you buy one bigger than what you specify. This one, to go around that, is 2 of them wrapped around each other. Luckily, because it was bigger than 4, I knew I would need more than 1. But good job too, because if it was 4 and I'd bought 1, I'd be mega pissed off because it wouldn't fucking fit. It seemed advertised as like the alternative to the wrap, so that's what I thought it'd be, but it doesn't wrap all the way around. It's bollocks. They need to be wider. So yeah, don't be kidded. But for me it's perfect because it's still going to stay a bit flexy, so perfect for the flexi pipe. And I bought 2 because, well, I foresaw this kind of bullshit. So for the rest of the system, I'm just going to heat wrap. It's because obviously it's not flexi, so that bit there between the turbo blanket and the flexi wrapped, then that bit and the whole silencer wrapped, and then that bit to sort of the bumper line really wrapped, because I don't want it visible, so I'm not going to wrap the entire thing. Because I did that on my Volvo and it looked a bit shit, to be honest. One thing I did do, because I wasn't going to wrap it all the way, is I found some of this aluminium heat shield shite, which is what's on all cars as standard around the silencers and cats and stuff. And I riveted it to the bumper so it didn't just melt the bumper. Because the thing is, it's got a good air gap anyway, so it probably wouldn't cause a problem. But I've melted bumpers on cars before, so I thought I'd do my best to try and avoid it. So I've done that. I'm also going to spray the entire exhaust. I've got some like very high temp paint. That's very high temp. I think it's rated to like 900 degrees C, and then normally realistically anything they're rated to they can do more, and that's outside temperature, so it'd be fine. I'm going to spray the whole thing in that first, let it dry, then wrap it, and then refit it to the car. In other news, I haven't filmed it at all, so there's absolutely nothing to show you, but I fitted a 350 litre per hour uprated fuel pump in the standard position in the tank. Modified the setup to basically block off it's a non-return system as standard in these cars. So the regulator in the tank that works to make it a non-return, that has been deleted, blocked off, whatever you want to call it. It's no longer functional, and it's now got a return line going back into the tank, but again didn't have one as standard. So now that is good to go. I mean, that pump can do more power than this car's ever going to make. It might, well, ever likely going to make. In other good news about it, the standard like baffles for the fuel pump in the tank are brilliant. It's like the best ones I've ever seen as a standard car's baffles. So there's no way this car would ever need a swirl pot. Just got like it's like dual layer. It's almost like a spiral, so it really will keep the fuel in no matter which way or how hard you're cornering, so that's good. And you may have noticed these two metal hooks. You know what they're for? They're going to be for holding the charge cooler down. I was saying to Thomas about how I was going to mount that, and I said to him I might just make like a big bolt-on metal strap goes around it, and because it wasn't worth like welding on tabs, because like just you know, a big some flat metal goes up along down and clamps to that seemed a good idea to me. And Tom was like, nah, fuck that. He said strap it down, you know, like a ratchet strap type thing. Strap it down, then it's easy to remove. It's super tight, you know, probably tighter than if you made any kind of brackets. So I have welded 2 harness loops for like racing harnesses that I had kicking around, and then I literally put some seam sealer around it to stop it going shitty and just make it a little bit tidier, and job done. Another thing that's arrived that I forgot to mention is some injectors from Badger 5. I chose these because, well, to be honest, I trusted Badger 5. There's a lot of injectors for sale, eBay and so on, claiming to be genuine and all that, and it's like, do I trust them? Not really. And to be honest, this, price-wise, the ones they do are like, they're genuine, and they're just the same price as all these other ones, which I was a bit suspicious about, and these are actually better. You know what these are off? They're Bosch injectors. They're not the normal Siemens ones. They're genuine Bosch, and they're the right length to fit in. You need adapters for the plugs, but that's there. They come with them. They are 640cc, I think, Bosch injectors. And like all injectors, well, all but a few specialist aftermarket company ones, they're OEM on something. And these are OEM on, well, let's see if I can, don't know if you can see. Can you see what it says there? Probably not. It says FOMOCO, as in Ford Motor Company, because these are actually off the latest Mustang GT 500, which is that bonkers powered, supercharged, crazy ass, big power V8. These are used as the OEM injectors on them, but they're you know, just genuine Bosch ones, and they are used on other things, but as the FOMOCO kind of says, that is the normal OE application for them, but they're really popular in the aftermarket world, in like, not just on 180s, on all sorts of stuff, especially in America, of course, because they're just bloody good injectors with a real good spray pattern and flow really well and so on. They're just good. So yeah, it was a no-brainer really, so got them from Badger 5. I think they're like 250 quid, I think it was, which is similar money to all the ones that I was a bit suspicious about on eBay. In other news, I've started to spray the exhaust system with that high temp 850 degree or whatever it is paint, and it looks a million times better like that than stainless. I don't care what anyone says, I much prefer that than some fancy TIG welded shiny stainless. I think that's badass. I think that looks way better to me. That's more me. I know everybody likes different things, but to me this looks way cooler. Almost looks a shame to wrap it now, but heat control and so on is more important to me than looks, because you won't be able to see this behind the you know, behind the bumper anyway. Well, you could a bit, but not much. But yeah, I think that looks badass. I need to weld some lambda bungs on this too, and I forgot. Well, I didn't forget, I forgot until earlier, and then obviously it's like, oh shit, I haven't got any, but I need to paint this, so I thought, fuck it, I'm going to paint it, and then just, you know, take the paint off where I'm going to add the bungs, add them on, repaint that section, And then it turns out, and I didn't expect it, otherwise I would have fucking waited, but I messaged Thomas and said, don't suppose you got any lambda bungs here? And he did. So I could have just welded it on first and then painted it, but it was too late by then. I didn't expect him to have them, so I just got on with it. But it's no big deal. It's not some expensive fucking ceramic coating you've just paid £1,000 for. You know, it'll take me 5 minutes to rub that off, and then I spray it again once I've welded it. It's the next day now, and I've been doing things, and as usual, not actually filming it, but I'll show you now. I have been, probably most importantly, welding on 2 lambda bungs on the exhaust. I basically put the exhaust back onto the car to double check it was in a good place, then chose here for 2 lambda bungs. These are actually whole set HX35 like oil feed adapters that seem to come in loads of them, as you know, from the factory. You don't use them, but I always keep them because they're fittings, and they happen on the big side to be the right thread to go into a lambda boss. So I've used them as bungs when I was welding and painting to stop the threads getting knackered. But either way, 2 lambda bungs. One's going to be for an AFR gauge on the dash, because it's nice to have a backup, and one is because the car, the engine management, runs a wideband lambda as standard. Remember earlier on in the video I said I was going to hold it in with a ratchet strap? Well, I have, and to be honest, it don't look even as you know, shit as I thought. Obviously, like I said, I welded in those hooks both sides. Also, I've got the fittings now, but yeah, the hooks both sides, and then ratcheted in, and it is fucking solid. And that's not even with the pipes stood up. The pipes alone would hold it in, but even with no pipes on, you are not moving that. It is rock solid. So I'm very happy with that, to be honest. It doesn't look shit. In fact, it probably looks neater than some kind of mounter I would have made anyway. So happy days. And the good thing about this, I just doop, and I can take the thing off. So lovely. On other charge cooler news, let's go around the front. Obviously, I've got the big charge cooler, but here are the other important bits. This, which looks like a turbo, is a Davis Craig electric water pump. And while I wasn't going to run one of these, generally with charge coolers you run, well, a charge cooler pump, which is often like one of the Bosch ones, like they use in well, originally OEM on like Mark 1 Ford Focus RS's and Ford Lightnings ran them and stuff like that. It's a good Bosch pump. Or there's one is supposedly better from the charge coolers, I think it's a Bosch one again, for AMG Mercs. But I'm all about making this sort of the most efficient setup I can. And I was looking into it, and I found that some people with like real full-on race cars, not like you know, typical tuned road cars, I found people with actual proper data showing even the uprated Bosch AMG charge cooler pump couldn't really flow well enough, or it seemed like it from their data. So they went and fitted one of these Davis Craig water pumps, just a AWP 80 like this, so the small one, and tried it, and lo and behold, it massively improved things. So I thought, considering there's almost no difference in price, these are about 150 quid. One of them normal charge cooler pumps is, you know, if you're getting a genuine Bosch one, is still 100, 120 anyway. It just made sense to go for this, because this is like 80 litres per whatever it is, minute, hour, year, fuck knows. But 80 litres, and that's way, way more than any of those Bosch charge cooler ones. I wouldn't normally have bothered, but when I read that data, it's like, yeah, actually, it's going to help. Next thing I needed is, because all the lines are going to be 19mm, the inlet and outlet of the Davis Craig plastic turbo is not 19mm, it's way bigger. So went on eBay and had a search, and lo and behold, I found some reducers and they go on fucking perfectly. So very happy with that. And then just some 19mm joiners, which in all honesty I'm not that happy with, because they're a bit, like, in my opinion, a bit small and a bit crap. Might get some different ones, not sure. I don't know. Nah, that's alright, fuck it, it's fine. So yeah. And then my final thing was I wanted to run, you don't necessarily have to on charge cooler setups, but I wanted to run a header tank as well. So I went on eBay again, looking around, and nearly all like the header tanks that you buy, like, you know, the universal ones, are dog shit. They're like, they've got little tiny inlets and outlets, like nowhere near 19mm, which is what I wanted. And they were also fucking expensive for nothing. But, you know, no matter how expensive they are, they had the wrong fittings, so they was as good as useless for me. I thought, hang on, I've owned about 1 million fucking different cars. What cars have I had that had the right shape header tank and the right sort of size fittings? I say sort of because, you know, you don't know, do you? And obviously with OEM stuff, there's nowhere on the internet it tells you exactly the fucking sizes, because why would there be? You're fitting OEM hoses. But then I remembered Renault 5 GT Turbo header tanks. I remembered the outlets from memory were roughly 19. They're a tiny bit bigger, to be honest. I need some adapters. They must be like 22 or something. I can't quite get this fucking hose on it. I tried. So I still need some kind of adapters. But yeah, Renault 5 Turbo, GT Turbo header tank. Plastic, so light plastic, so I can actually see the coolant level, unlike all these alloy ones which you can't see shit. And it was like 20 odd quid brand new. And I even bought the OEM straps, because normally a standard is like strapped like that round to 2 hooks. So it's a good easy way of mounting it, so I'm gonna use that as well probably. Or maybe I'll just use cable ties. The main game is now where and how I mount these things. I'm going to put all of this in the engine bay. Obviously I'll have the header tank as high as possible. Yeah, I think that as low as possible, so there's no air likely to get trapped in it. That as high as possible, so air can get out of it. And fucking job done. 10 minutes of working shit out, and then a bit of seeing what I had lying around. The header tank and water pump are in place. For the header tank, I did something probably better than the original strap, and certainly easier. I got 2 heavy duty P-clips and drilled and riveted them to there. And then, at the moment I've only got one small one because it was a test fit. But I'm just going to run a big, one of those fat cable ties, you know, the ones that you cannot break. They're literally like, I've used them to hold in batteries in cars, and they've passed track day scrutineering. They are not going anywhere. Even this one would be fine because they don't weigh much. But yeah, one of them strapped in and it is tight, so perfect. This is how I'm going to mount, well, how I've mounted the water pump. Like I said in the instructions, a lot of it says, oh, just, you know, it doesn't need to be mounted to anything. It's just like held in with the pipes, but I don't like that. What I've done, because, well, it just seemed like it makes sense, I've mounted it on 2 small but relatively long mounting brackets, that aluminium one there and one at the bottom. And because it's fairly thin aluminium, it's got a little bit of flex if it needs to. So all it's really doing is holding it in place, because the hoses are, you know, they're big hoses, 19mm hoses and whatever, so it's going to be fairly rigid no matter what, which is I think why, you know, the company even says it can just be sort of supported by the weight of the hoses. But I prefer it to have brackets, to be honest, so I've made them brackets dead easy in a nice position. And if you look very slightly tilted back, because what it is, you can mount them any position once they're bled, but to bleed them, you're meant to tilt them back for about 5 minutes to bleed the system, because it helps get the air out. But personally, it seems like you can have them any way you want, and I would rather, you know, minimise the chances of it ever getting airlocks or anything, is I've got it ever so slightly, it's only a few degrees, but slightly pointing up, which is the sort of the ideal position really. So yeah, happy days. I've just been fiddling about a bit more, digged out a load of hoses I got, and that's 19, and it's, you know, that is the main pipework size. That's the pipework outlet size of the charge cooler and the charge cooler rad, and that's what the adapters take it down to off the pump. And the header tank ones are 22. I've ordered some, because I just measured them, I just ordered some 22 to 19 adapters, which may or may not turn up after I've already worked out a different way of doing it, but I've got them just in case. I know what I'm like, I've ordered them and I'll probably find, you know, a new way of doing it before they even turn up, because I'm impatient. But I'm going to order, well, I'm going to go and buy, because it's anywhere, some of this 19mm hose, because it's normal heater hose. 19mm is what, 3/4 inch, so yeah, normal heater hose you can get from any motor factor. I will need many meters of it. I've even got quite a bit of, but all short really, silicone 19mm. I got this one, which is quite good. It's a 90-degree silicone. That's perfect for through there. I can't use, well, I don't want to use a 90 through there for this one, because that's where the radiator water port is, so it'd be too close. I did consider moving this up there, but I kind of didn't like the look of it. And it does clear that mine, so it's potential, but there's really no reason not to bring that hose round here that way, or even drill a hole through, and so it goes straight through. I've done that purely because I had the hose, and it kind of looks neat. But either way, it's easy. You know what I mean? It's like all this is done. What I got all this out for, and was trialing stuff, was to see if I was going to come across any problems or how difficult it was going to be. And the answer's not difficult. It's going to be fucking piece of piss. So that's all good. Last thing for this video is some Bosch parts. One thing I don't like, well, I tend to never cheap out on, is like cheapy Chinese sensors and stuff, because especially not the important ones, and by that I mean the ones that control how much power your car makes and how likely it is to blow up. So I've got genuine Bosch, you know, OEM ones. So brand new, well, exchange, but it is brand new because I didn't even exchange it. Brand new Bosch MAF sensor, brand new Bosch wideband lambda, brand new Bosch map sensor, and brand new Bosch intake temp sensor. So yeah, ideal. That is the important ones, the ones that when they fail or read wrong, shit runs badly. So there's no way I was cheaping out on them. But apart from that, I am done for this video. As you can see, I've done a fair old amount since the start of this video. So yeah, hope you like this video, and like, comment, subscribe, blah blah blah, all the good stuff. Channel's still tiny, but you know, the more you can comment and subscribe and like and whatever, it helps it grow. And then one day it might actually turn into something that could earn me some money, which I will then waste on more stuff for mine and your entertainment. So yeah, see you next time. Ta-ra.